or microwave. If you are a farmer, you make food by actually growing it before it reaches the supermarket. If you're a professional chef, then you make food with wizardry. Similarly, many living creatures use different processes for producing food. These processes are generally called photosynthesis and chemosynthesis. Let's go over their differences and the different organisms that use them. Photosynthesis is a process by which certain living creatures make sugar and oxygen from carbon dioxide and water with the use of solar energy. We can actually represent this definition with a nifty formula that you can see on screen. All I want you to grasp from this formula is that on the left side we take raw ingredients, carbon dioxide and water, and turn them into our products on the right side, which are carbohydrates or sugars and oxygen. Like you would need to use heat to bake raw ingredients into a final product, this process happens thanks to energy that's captured by sunlight. Many living things use this process to make food, including plants, which provide us with food and oxygen, algae, which serve as a food source for many organisms in the food chain, and some bacteria, such as the green sulfur bacteria. Furthermore, at least in plants and algae, the process of photosynthesis occurs in organelles called chloroplasts. Think of them as the place where the raw ingredients are cooked, sort of like an oven in our kitchen. So, to summarize, photosynthesis uses light energy to convert carbon dioxide and water into carbohydrates, which are sugars, and oxygen within organelles called chloroplasts. Keeping this in mind, let's compare photosynthesis to chemosynthesis. Chemosynthesis is a process whereby a carbon molecule is converted into a sugar-based food source through the oxidation of inorganic molecules as a source of energy. As just one example of this process, the following formula can be used. On the left side, we have our raw ingredients. They are oxygen, a carbon molecule, in this case it's carbon dioxide, and an inorganic molecule, in this case hydrogen sulfide. We mix our ingredients together and they produce a sugar, the CH2O, water and sulfur. In this case, there's no oven per se that cooks the meal for the bacteria that use this process to generate food. Instead, the energy for this reaction comes from the chemical reactions that occur once the raw ingredients are mixed together, sort of like when you mix baking soda and vinegar. You get a chemical reaction without the need for an oven. Bacteria found next to hydrothermal vents, whale carcasses, cold seeps, and even sunken ships are known to utilize chemosynthesis to make their own food. The key thing is that the chemosynthesis doesn't rely on sunlight, and thus deep sea communities can still thrive despite a lack of sunlight thanks to chemosynthesis. Bacteria that utilize chemosynthesis are known to provide a source of food for organisms such as giant tube worms, which can be found living next to hydrothermal vents. I highly doubt you use photosynthesis or chemosynthesis to make your food, but maybe I'm wrong. What I do know is that plants, algae, and even some bacteria utilize photosynthesis to the same end. Photosynthesis is a process by which certain living creatures make sugar and oxygen from carbon dioxide and water thanks to the use of solar energy. In plants and algae, the process of photosynthesis occurs in organelles called chloroplasts. Bacteria can also utilize chemosynthesis to make their own food for themselves or for organisms they live alongside. Chemosynthesis is a process where a carbon molecule is converted into a sugar-based food source through the oxidation of inorganic molecules as a source of energy. The biggest takeaway from this lesson I want you to be aware of is that photosynthesis relies on light energy, while chemosynthesis does not.